And if you're an Indiana Fever fan, this is something you already know. However, for the haters out there, the old WNBA fandom, many of you call them the slows. For those fans, they're in complete denial. We've tried to tell people Caitlin Clark moves the needle.
Buckle up, because Sophie Cunningham just dropped a bomb that's got the entire WNBA talking. On her podcast, she casually threw out a line that hit like a thunderclap. The next team I sign with better pay me enough to buy a house and actually settle down. Just like that, rumors exploded across the league. This wasn't a slip-up, it was a message. Loud, direct, and impossible to ignore. Inside the Indiana Fever camp, that single sentence set off alarms. Cunningham, long considered one of the team's emotional anchors, might be eyeing the exit. And if that's true, the domino effect could be brutal. The Fever have built their entire identity around Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise, her influence stretching from ticket sales to national headlines. But every star needs stability around her, and Cunningham has been that steady force. If she's ready to walk, it's not just about money, it's about belief. The belief that this franchise was building something sustainable, something real. And now, that belief looks shaky. The front office is scrambling, the locker room's tense, and the fans are whispering the question nobody wants to ask. If Sophie's out, who's next? Because make no mistake, if this foundation cracks, the fallout won't stop at one player. It'll shake the entire Fever to its core.
So Sophie Cunningham is one of the biggest names in the WNBA. And as well as that, she's also one of the best glue guys, role players in the entire league. Say we want about Sophie Cunningham, she shot 63% true shooting percentage while being a well above average defender. I'm not going to say a great defender, but like well above average defender. She's one of the better defenders on the Fever, and she's somebody that originally usurped the Wand of Honor as a starter.
Let's be real. This isn't just a roster rumor. It's a 5-alarm fire for anyone who actually wants to see the Indiana Fever win. Losing Sophie Cunningham isn't some minor lineup tweak. It's a seismic hit to the very chemistry that's been holding this young team together. She's not just a shooter. She's the glue. The one diving for loose balls, spacing the floor so Caitlin Clark can breathe, and bringing that grit every contender needs when the lights get hot. Take her out of the equation, and the dominoes start falling fast. Clark's rhythm? Disrupted. The team's offensive flow? Fragile. The defensive energy that kept them alive in close games? Gone. This isn't about contracts. It's about identity. Cunningham's potential exit doesn't just open a roster spot. It opens a wound. Because if the Fever lose her, they're not just losing a player. They're losing the heartbeat of Clark's support system. And in a league this competitive, one crack in the foundation can bring the whole house down.
We've tried to tell people Caitlin Clark moves the needle unlike anybody else in this league or everybody else in this league. It just sort of is what it is. Fans are coming to see one particular player, and along with that, carries over the support to the entire team. Well, Forbes has released a rather very interesting insight report that tells you exactly how much the Indiana Fever's social media engagements are actually monetarily worth.
For Caitlin Clark, the pressure cooker just went nuclear. She didn't enter the WNBA to fit in. She came to redefine it. From day one, she's carried not just a team, but an entire league's resurgence on her shoulders. She's the reason arenas are selling out, the reason the cameras never stop rolling, the reason women's basketball finally feels mainstream. But here's the problem. Superstars can't build dynasties alone. If Sophie Cunningham walks, that's not just a lineup loss. It's a gut punch to everything the Fever swore they were constructing. Cunningham was the steady hand in the chaos, the grinder who did the dirty work so Clark could shine. Losing her over money? That's more than bad business. It's organizational negligence. It signals that the front office doesn't fully grasp what it takes to protect their generational talent. Now, Clark stands at a crossroads. She's elevating the league's profile, rewriting attendance records, and fueling sponsorship gold. But behind the highlight reels, the cracks are showing. A team that should be rising with her is instead wobbling under the weight of poor decisions. And fans are starting to wonder the unthinkable. Will the Fever build a legacy around Clark? Or blow their shot at history before it's even begun?
It does sound like the Fever are not going to keep her. From her podcast, a lot of the time she'd been mentioning the Fever. And in the most recent podcast, she did not mention the Fever. And she said this.
And I think the next team I play for, I want a bigger contract. So then I can buy a house and be homey and cozy.
This one's a bombshell for sure. Because if the whispers are true and Sophie Cunningham's headed to the New York Liberty, the WNBA landscape just tilted on its axis. Think about it. The Liberty aren't just a team, they're a statement, a super team stacked with star power and built for championships. Dropping Cunningham into that mix? That's not just an upgrade, it's an arms race. Her value goes way beyond the box score. A 63% true shooting percentage, 43% from deep, and the kind of defensive grit coaches dream about. She's the definition of efficiency and reliability. Cunningham doesn't just hit shots. She stabilizes systems. She gives playmakers like Caitlin Clark room to operate, keeps defenders honest, and brings that blue-collar energy that glues rosters together. If she really leaves Indiana for the Big Apple, the message is brutal but clear. Loyalty ends where opportunity begins. The Fever would lose more than a shooter. They'd lose their emotional spine. Meanwhile, New York? They'd gain the missing piece to push their championship window wide open. One move, and suddenly the balance of power in the WNBA shifts east.
Well, Forbes has released a rather very interesting insight report that tells you exactly how much the Indiana Fever's social media engagements are actually monetarily worth. Either on X or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, whatever. I mean, all these posts have a monetary value to them based on engagement. Boy, their posts are worth a lot of money.
Beyond her game night heroics, Sophie Cunningham has evolved into one of the WNBA's most valuable marketing assets. She's not just boosting the Fever's win column, she's amplifying their entire brand identity. From viral highlight reels to high-profile sponsorships, yes, that Arby's partnership was no small feat. Cunningham embodies the modern athlete who understands both performance and perception, while Caitlin Clark may be the franchise's megawatt star, the engine behind that staggering 55 million social media valuation. Cunningham is the multiplier effect. She's the energy that keeps the fan base engaged between games, the personality that drives clicks, and the professional who adds credibility to every campaign tied to the Fever's resurgence. If Indiana lets her walk, they're not just losing a dependable scorer, they're watching a core pillar of their brand ecosystem walk out the door. The impact would ripple far beyond the court. Weaker engagement metrics, sponsor hesitation, and a noticeable dip in team identity. In today's WNBA, where visibility equals viability, Sophie Cunningham isn't just an asset, she's equity.
They don't want to keep. Like, this is the dumbest thing I think I've seen a team do. Like, genuinely. They traded 4 years of Sinai Rivers, and by the way, the Fever wouldn't have drafted Sinai Rivers. The Fever would not have drafted Sinai Rivers. The Fever are dumbasses. They would have drafted somebody else. But losing Sophie Cunningham for money reasons is not a smart thing to do. Like,
and this is where things really start to unravel. The Sophie Cunningham situation doesn't just threaten team chemistry. It exposes a front office fiasco in the making. Let's rewind. The Indiana Fever traded away the 8th overall draft pick, which became rising star Samaya Rivers, to bring in Cunningham as a proven veteran who could immediately complement Caitlin Clark's explosive arrival. At the time, it looked like a calculated win-now gamble, a move to stabilize a young roster and signal that the Fever were done rebuilding. But fast forward a season, and the optics are brutal. If Cunningham walks after just 1 year, that bold investment instantly turns into a short-term rental that cost the team a cornerstone prospect, analysts, and fans alike aren't holding back, calling it reckless, short-sighted, and a massive front office misfire. What was meant to be a statement of ambition now reads like desperation. And for a franchise trying to prove it can protect and build around Caitlin Clark's generational talent, this timing couldn't be worse. Because if you can't keep your key veterans or capitalize on your draft assets, what exactly are you building for?
They are worth a lot of money, and I can tell you right now, that's a little over 5 times higher than the next WNBA team. 5 times higher. Let's go down here. Just scroll down. The Indiana Fever's staggering $55 million social media evaluation speaks volumes. Now, before we get into this, let me just come over here and let me read this to you so you know exactly what we're looking at.
Critics are absolutely eviscerating the Indiana Fever right now. And honestly, they've got a point. The move looks like a textbook case of how not to run a professional franchise.